Welcome to Attunement with Courtney O'Keeffe. My name is Courtney. I'm so excited for today's episode. This is going to be a little different. This is our business background, but I am actually going to be talking about Able Alchemy today for the heart chakra. It's kind of wild how I got to the conclusion that this is actually meant to be the heart chakra about my business, smack dab in the middle of the chakras. I had reached out to a few different organizations to have them come on and record for this episode for the business highlight, and they all fell through. And during this time, I was being guided to record about my business, and I kept pushing it down, and then things just were not working out. And rejection is a redirection, and we are here. And I am so excited to share with you my journey through my career and what led me to here. This is a question that I get a lot. How did I end up doing what I'm doing? So why not share it here? I'm really excited to dive into it all. We're going to go kind of way back into my career history and how I ended up here. So for all those who are interested, thank you for listening and let's dive into it. I went to school for marketing and graphic design. I minored in marketing with a major in graphic design. Honestly, this is going to sound a little cheesy, but 13 Going on 30, that movie where she was like a magazine, worked at the magazine and like did the layouts and was like a magazine editor, like that was a dream job for me in high school. And my high school actually had a graphic design class, and I took photography in high school. And I just loved making art so much. Honestly, made my heart so happy. So I ended up studying graphic design at Bradley University. And the art program there was really small, but so amazing. And I ended up traveling and studying abroad in London for design. And it was seriously so amazing. I had the best professors and had such a good experience there in their art program. And also at Bradley, I actually took the very first social media marketing class they offered. Now it has like its own category and curriculum, but I took the very first social media marketing class at Bradley, and it was so cool. I was so interested in social media and the way that I can help your business in a marketing perspective. At the time, it was much different than it is now, but that was a really cool experience. And then after graduating, I ended up taking an unpaid internship at a place called Social Katie in Chicago and did an summer internship there for 3 months and ended up taking a full-time position there immediately following, where I managed 3 different clients' social media, where I did their content planning, creative strategy, brainstorming, and posting when it came to all social media platforms. And I worked with like a water brand, it was similar to like a vitamin waterish brand, a nut butter brand, and a humidifier brand. And that was a really cool experience. I had never really done like intense content planning when it came to marketing. I was definitely not doing as much design as I wanted to do during that time, but I just really wanted to have a job and like live in the city. Chris and I had moved in together at that point after school, and I just kind of jumped at the first thing that came to me. And it was a really cool experience. I wasn't there super long because, like I said, I always lead with my heart. And I was not designing and creating as much as I wanted to in that job. It was very much more logistical than anything else. So from there, I ended up finding a position at a place called And Agency. And I'm actually not sure if they're still in business, but their biggest clients were like AT&T and DirecTV. And they did a lot of design work for like call centers. So I was on that design team. We also did some branding work for like small businesses and stuff. And then I ended up being promoted to art director, and that was really cool. I was very young though, and I often look back on that job and think that that position was given to me because I was cheaper labor. There was a lot of like sliminess that happened there, and I ended up leaving and went to a PR firm, which is interesting because I had taken a position at this place called No Limit Agency to be like a creative content manager, I think is what it was called. And I did so much in that job that was not in my job description, but I cannot even begin to tell you how much I learned there. I was like writing for their online editorial. I was doing a lot of like social media management and content planning. I did some design, definitely not as much as I wanted to. And then they actually kind of like created this role for me, but I did end up doing a ton of video editing, which was kind of crazy because I am of the mindset of like, I'm given a task, I will investigate and learn until I can do it properly. Even if I don't know how to do something, kind of like fake it till you make it, but actually produce something and go all out. And there were some projects that I were given that I had like no idea how to do it. And I would like spend all night researching how to do something and then create it, which is like a really good skill that I have, but also was a huge energy suck. And I ended up really feeling so burned out at that job. But it was interesting working in PR because I could see how they like pitched their clients to media outlets, which I had never been exposed to before. And then that led me to my last job before I um had kids and started a family with Chris, and that was at Agency EA. And this I talk about this job all the time because I loved it to pieces. And it was like the best corporate experience I've ever had. And I know a lot of people don't have great corporate experiences, but mine was so amazing. I had two bosses that were like directly above me and they were amazing. Actually, one of them I wrote a note to as a part of like my Artist Way book. If you follow me on social media, I talk about the Artist Way a lot. He was like such a good mentor for me in the design industry. And I ended up writing him a note like last month or something, just letting him know how much his mentorship meant to me. And it was an experiential marketing firm. So I, at the time, started as a graphic designer and was doing mostly print stuff. And I did a lot of digital things as well. But it was branding for large corporate events. I got to work with the coolest clients. I got to travel all over the world. We worked with Hilton, Facebook, Google. It was truly incredible, and I am so thankful for that experience. And it's so interesting to see all these past jobs that led me to that job. And I felt like I am a very like multifaceted creative individual, and I have experience from all these different realms and can bring things together to create something so magical. And this is even before my spiritual awakening. So I'm truly even more magical now. Not to toot my own horn, I'm just telling you the truth. We started a family, and then after we had Harper, I had full intentions of like going back, but during maternity leave, I just knew something shifted in my heart because we're talking about the heart. I knew I couldn't go back. And I ended up giving my notice and like going back and returning my laptop, and everyone got to meet the baby. And I've actually since gone back and done sound bath there for their team, and truly just like the best relationship with that company. If anyone's like, I'm sure they're still the same. Their foundation and their intentions were really beautiful. So then anyway, I am mothering my first baby, and it was really life-changing for me. That was like the start of my spiritual awakening, which I talked a little bit about a couple episodes ago with the heart chakra and how my heart just like burst open during that time. I ended up starting like a mommy blog because I just wanted to write about my experiences. I was the first person like in my friend group and circle that had a child, and I truly felt very lonely during that time. So I ended up creating like a new Instagram page and starting my own little blog, just sharing stuff about motherhood. And I didn't really care who read it. And it's so cool looking back on that time, how open I was just in general, because I am now, but I'm definitely in a different place now than I was then. But how open I was and honest and vulnerable in that little blog space. And that truly was a beautiful time because I was able to design. I also took on a couple like freelance projects for people, which was fun. I was just like missing that part of me, that creativity that I loved so much. So I kind of took like odd ends and jobs on every now and then, which was super fun. But then I reached a point where I was like, I want to start my own business. And that is kind of why I explained everything I had done in the past career wise, because I have done so many different jobs and touched my toes in so many different like medias and mediums. And if I hadn't done any of those, I wouldn't be as good as what I am today and what I'm doing. And it is really cool looking back on it, like all the experience that I got to have and what I created. I love looking back at like old portfolios and seeing the work that I did because I'm really proud of it and I'm so proud of where I am today. Anyway, besides the point. After I had Harper, I started this blog and then I noticed just like in the card world. I love Rifle Paper Company. I'm a huge like paper shop person. I love to shop for paper treats. And I was like, there is a gap in the market here. And postpartum cards for moms are missing. Like at the time I did not see a lot of cards for moms on their postpartum journey. You only saw like baby cards, after the baby's born. So I made a really cool set of postpartum cards. And maybe I'll share them on my Instagram. I can't remember everything that they said now, but they were funny. They were like cheeky ones. And there was like a few more serious ones about like maybe PPD and stuff like that that could be like comforting for things like that. But I was so proud of that. And I really wanted to just like create that and put it out in the world. So I created a business called the Able Press where I started with these postpartum cards. I eventually ended up creating birthday cards, Mother's Day cards, Father's Day cards, and Halloween cards, obviously, because I'm obsessed with Halloween. And what is so cool is I created this business right as I was pregnant with Piper. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to create a business while I was pregnant, but it just like, again, I lead with my heart and I do things that are on my heart. I can't just let them go. And after Piper was born, I did a lot of like markets. I would set up a booth and sell my cards. I ended up like making stickers and keychains and a bunch of other stuff that I illustrated everything. And I ended up making wrapping paper too. It was a really cool business. And I've always wanted to sell paper products. And then at one point, things started not feeling super aligned. I was giving a lot of energy into all of that and not getting as much back as I was hoping from it. So I ended up shifting a little bit to creating holiday cards and custom illustrations at the time. And I created the irreplaceable line. This was a huge shift in me, obviously, on my healing journey and in business as well. For those of you who don't know, the irreplaceable line was a line where I came out and shared my story about my sexual trauma and created this red scarf and sold this scarf, 2 or 3 cards, a pin, and a notebook that was all in this line. And they were seriously so beautiful. A lot of them had words that I had heard in meditation, like during my healing process, that really helped me along the way. And I put those on the scarf and then I shared my story in a video and then I started selling these products in the Able Press shop and I donated profits to the RAIN organization. And it was seriously so life-changing for me putting my story out there. Completely changed me as a person. And I am so incredibly proud of what I did in that business. In the Able Press in general, the branding for that business, if you have been around since then, first of all, thank you. And second of all, it was so heart led. There was even like a mini heart in the A of the logo. And when I had launched that business, I just said that this is like coming from my heart. This is a heart led project. So I just think that is so magical and aligns really well with like the message that I'm trying to get across, even with what I'm doing now. So after the irreplaceable line, I totally could feel this major shift in my business. Like things were taking a sharp turn towards healing, talking about healing, things that have helped me on my journey. And one of those things specifically was listening to sound baths. I am not kidding when I say listening to sound baths literally on my headphones, watching YouTube and meditating did more for me than like an hour of talk therapy. I'm a very self-aware person, and talk therapy did not do as much for me as I was hoping. So sound healing, it was somatic for me. I had so much energy and still sometimes think I have lingering stuff every now and then in my body. And sound healing helped release that from my body every time I listened to a sound bath. And during that time, as I'm talking about my journey, my experiences, and sharing about sound healing, I just had this like nudge in my soul that was like, you need to learn how to do this because it has helped you so much. You can help other people by doing this, because I was so passionate about it. And that also led to deeply learning more about the chakras. Each bowl represents a chakra, and diving into chakra healing and going through my own chakras and clearing things out and taking chakra courses and doing all these different things with my chakras. And I ended up taking a sound healing course online, learning about the science behind it and what it can do for your body somatically and overall in general, what sound can do for your body. And after that, Chris had bought me my first bowls on a Mother's Day, and it was seriously so amazing and magical. And I'm so thankful for that, that I had his support in doing that. Because then I kind of just it was still called the Able Press at this point. I really started to do sound healing for friends and family to kind of test it out and do like hours of practice before I started offering it to clients. And then I started doing like small private events at people's homes, and the word kind of just spread. I didn't market it that much, and there weren't a ton of people doing it at the time when I was doing it. And it turned into this like magical experience. Anita was like one of the first people that hired me to do a sound bath at her house too. So that was cool. And then I kind of again felt this nudge in my soul, like the Able Press no longer aligns. I don't have energy to be putting in all this work with custom illustrations and cards and all the overhead that involves having a paper shop. And then eventually rebranded 2 years ago to Able Alchemy. And I like to think that I can alchemize energy. I like to think of myself as someone who can light up the darkness and bring a lightness to darkness. Alchemy is like a perfect word to describe this feeling of making something out of nothing. And I like to think I am a magician of sorts when it comes to that. I had then realized that I can still do design because I had a epiphany about my irreplaceable line, which led me to chakra color theory. I was looking at the scarves that I created, and the colors, that whole process of creating that line just came out of nowhere. Like it was like a download. I saw what it was going to look like. I created it. The colors were red, orange, and yellow, which is so random because I am not like a red person. I don't normally do stuff with the color red. And it was this really cool moment that I had as I was rebranding my business of like, wow, the irreplaceable line is a direct healing of the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus, which are red, orange, and yellow. And that was like a mind blowing experience for me to have that realization and then be like, whoa, I can design through the lens of chakras because I created that through a download, and that process of creating those things and putting them out into the world quite literally did heal my root, sacral, and solar plexus. So then I started creating this process of looking into business birth charts, chakra color theory, and taking those two energies and crafting a business with intention and design around like this energy, because everything has intention and purpose. And why not do that in your design process? So my branding is truly magical, and every client I work with just has like amazing things to say about it because it is such an intentional process. It's so heart led. I like to think I'm tapping into my client's heart space and pulling out their hopes and their dreams and their manifestations for their business and turning it into something magical, because their intentions are in their branding. The energy of their business is in their branding. And then I kind of close everything off with Reiki into the designs, and it just calls in their frequency of the people they want to work with. It's seriously, truly magical. And I still do sound healing work as well. I don't market it as often because it is very word of mouth, especially around like witchy season. My Septembers and Octobers are always pretty busy with tarot and sound healing. I ended up getting into tarot because I would go to Katie, who was on the Able podcast. She told her story there. She was kind of like my go-to whenever I did feel like I needed quote unquote talk therapy. She was someone that I could like bounce things off of through her tarot readings. And she had offered a tarot course, and I felt so called to do it. Again, leading with the heart. I signed up, and that was also life-changing for me. I read my own tarot. Like every day I would pull cards for myself. And then I just felt this nudge to start doing it for other people. And I noticed, like, as I kept following my heart and doing these things within my business, and I noticed like other people's lives were changing because of it, my gifts started to open up even more. And it's just become this like magical snowball. And I just love it so much because as I evolve and change, so does my business. And it's seriously so fun. And then obviously I have the podcast as well. And it's a space for us to use our throat chakras, which we'll get to next month. But it is, I'm very proud of what I've created. And what's really cool is I have no idea what the future is going to bring because I do lead with my heart. That may sound super unconventional for a lot of people because people with like business mindset or business degrees may be like, oh my God, you're kind of just doing it on a whim. But truly, I am just following my intuition and my heart and doing things that bring me joy, which in turn fill my cup. And I'm truly so thankful that I'm able to do this, that I have the resources to have someone home with my kids, and I'm able to fulfill my passions and my purpose. I have like one really big project coming out that is very close to my heart. I can't share about it yet, but I'm hoping by the time the end of this podcast is over, I will be able to share it. I mean, I can't even begin to tell. Like, I might start crying thinking about it. Like, it is just truly from my heart. And I'm so glad that all of those other people I was going to interview for this episode didn't work out, so that I could kind of share with you the background of me and my business experience and where I come from and kind of how I ended up here. Design and branding is a huge passion for me. I want to help other people follow their dreams, and healing is a huge passion for me. I want to help other people heal. I want people to feel the same way I feel. So I hope that I'm calling in the right people for that. And then using my voice is like, has literally saved me. And I am so glad I can provide a platform for other people to share their voices. And I just feel very lucky to be doing what I'm doing and to have a family and a husband who supports me and is there for me during it all, because it is magical. And I love Able Alchemy so much. And I cannot wait to see where it goes, because our businesses all have their own frequency and kind of like their own life of their own. And I'm just so grateful. And I probably said that so many times now already, but I did want to end on like a little piece of advice. If you're a business owner, I am maybe not the best person to take business advice from, but I will say that following my heart and doing things that I feel called to do in business has always left me with success and joy and drive. And I will say, forcing myself to do things in business always ends up poorly. Some people will come up to me and say, you should do this. You should do this with your talents. You should do this with your tarot. You should do this with your branding. And anytime I act on those, you should do this from someone else, it doesn't work out because energetically in my soul, that's not something my heart wants. And the universe feeds that back to me. So I am truly in my business focusing on my heart and what I want to do, specifically because it's just me right now in my business. Who knows? Maybe it'll grow one day. But I just think it's so important to follow your heart and do the things that you want to do, especially if you're a solopreneur and you're building your own legacy. Because the only thing that matters is what you want. Yeah, we can talk about competitive analysis, but I really think like in this new age of Aquarius, there is no competition. You are meant to fulfill your own purpose. We can all have what we want. And I know that may seem like a crazy concept because we were grown up like being told money doesn't grow on trees and like everyone's a competitor. I mean, literally in design school, they had you do competitive analysis on like every brand that you were rebranding for or designing for. And that is something I am so against in my own branding service. Like, we do not look at competitors. We are only looking within your soul and your manifestations, your wants, your needs, because that's all that matters. You are here to express your own individual self from your own heart. And that is like my business advice. It may not resonate with you. And if it doesn't resonate, then just leave it. I just think there's a lot to be said for soul-led businesses and leading with your heart, because it truly makes magic. And if you listened to all of this, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. And I'm so thankful that you're listening to this podcast. And I hope you got something out of this, if not just hearing my journey through my career. If you have any questions, reach out to me on Instagram. I am always there. Love it over there. I am so grateful for all of my experiences that I've had on my career path. And I literally cannot wait to see where this leads me. Right now, my dream is to have like an agency one day. I would love to do public speaking. I don't know, lead retreats. Who knows? I have big dreams all the time. And I'm kind of just like, I'm not forcing anything. And I am leading where the breadcrumbs take me from the universe. And I can't wait to share with my next breadcrumb with you, hopefully, in the next few months. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back next week to kick off the throat chakra. Visit ablealchemy.com to download your free chakra journal and to learn more about Able Alchemy. This is a place where your dreams and reality align through services like tarot and astrology readings, sound bath sessions, and intuitive branding for businesses looking to align with their manifestations and purpose through soul-led studies such as astrology, business energy analysis, and chakra color theory. Follow along with Able Alchemy on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Please rate, review, and subscribe if you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time.